The morning bell echoed through Celestia War Academy, but Arya barely heard over the snickering that followed her down the hallway. She kept her eyes down, clutching her worn textbooks against her chest, each step measured and careful. The Academy's marble floors were too clean, too perfect, much like everyone who walked them except her. "There goes dead weight," someone muttered as she passed. "I heard she scored 0 again on the combat simulation. Why is she even still here?" Arya had heard it all before. For 3 years, she'd been the Academy's biggest failure. The girl who somehow got accepted into the most prestigious military academy in the nation, but couldn't manifest even basic combat abilities. While her classmates summoned flames and wielded gravity itself, she could barely lift a practice sword. Class F, the reject class. That's where they put students like her, the ones who didn't belong, who dragged down the Academy's pristine reputation. 23 students who scored lowest in every evaluation, taught by instructors who'd given up, in a building separated from the main campus like a quarantine ward. Arya slipped into her seat at the back corner, the same seat she'd occupied for 3 years. Around her, her classmates were already absorbed in their phones, scrolling to the morning's trending videos. She pulled out her own battered device, earbuds in, ready for another day of being invisible. "Yo, Arya." Marcus Chun, no relation, spun around in his seat, his signature smirk already in place. He was Class F's self-proclaimed leader, the loudest voice in a chorus of mediocrity. "Heard you got knocked out in 5 seconds during yesterday's practical. New record?" Laughter rippled through nearby desks. "Leave her alone, Marcus," said Yuki, though her voice carried no real conviction. Yuki was kind, one of the few who occasionally spoke to Arya without mockery, but even she kept her distance. Association with the class failure came with its own social costs. "I'm just saying," Marcus continued, leaning back with theatrical flair, "maybe she should transfer to civilian school. Stop wasting everyone's time." Arya said nothing. She'd learned years ago that responses only fed the fire. Instead, she opened her music app, drowning out the world with melodies that asked no questions and passed no judgment. Instructor Wei arrived 15 minutes late, as usual, dropping his briefcase on the desk with a heavy thud that spoke of exhaustion and resignation. He was a good man once, Arya had heard, a decorated officer who'd lost something crucial in the Fourth Border War. Now he shepherded the Academy's rejects through curriculum he didn't believe they'd ever use. Today's lesson, he announced without enthusiasm, emergency evacuation protocols during S-rank breach scenarios. More groans. S-rank threats were theoretical for Class F students. They'd never face anything beyond maybe a stray C-rank monster if they were unlucky enough to be near a minor gate breach. S-rank beasts, creatures that could level cities, that required elite strike teams to handle. Those were problems for students from Class A and Class S. Instructor Wei pulled up a holographic display, showing footage from a recent gate breach in the eastern sector. The monster was massive, serpentine, with scales that deflected artillery rounds. Elite forces swarmed it, their attacks coordinated and devastating. Note the formation. Wei droned. Alpha Team provides range support, while Beta closes for melee engagement. This is textbook S-rank suppression. Arya watched the footage, but her mind was elsewhere. 3 years. 3 years of pretending to be helpless, of taking every insult, every pitying glance. 3 years of biting her tongue when instructors explained basics she'd mastered before she could walk. 3 years of letting them think she was nothing. It had been necessary. Her father's final words echoed constantly. "Hide yourself, Arya. No matter what happens, no matter what they say or do, hide what you are until you're ready. Promise me." She'd promised. Even as cancer took him, even as he grew too weak to speak above a whisper, she'd held his hand and promised to stay hidden, to stay weak, to survive. But lately, that promise felt heavier than any weapon she'd ever wielded. The lunch bell was mercy. Arya grabbed her bag and headed for her usual spot, the old greenhouse behind the athletics building, abandoned after budget cuts moved all botany programs indoors. It was overgrown and forgotten, which made it perfect. She was halfway through her sandwich when voices approached. Arya shrank behind a cluster of wild ferns, holding her breath. Did you see the viral video from last night? It was Melissa Park from Class A, her voice carrying that particular pitch of excitement that came with fresh gossip. Someone leaked classified war footage from the 6th border campaign. The 6th? Her companion replied. That was 2 years ago. Why is it surfacing now? No idea, but it's insane. There's this fighter. They're calling him Phantom because their identity is completely obscured, who just obliterates an entire swarm of S-rank Ravagers. Like, effortlessly. The military is freaking out trying to get the video taken down, which obviously just made it spread faster. Arya's blood turned to ice. The 6th border campaign. 2 years ago, during her first year at the academy, when she told her instructors she had a family emergency and disappeared for 3 weeks. The same campaign where, no, that footage was supposed to be destroyed. All of it. That was the deal she'd made with Commander Zhang. Complete anonymity in exchange for her help. No records, no witnesses, no trail. Apparently the fighter in the video isn't even registered in any military database, Melissa continued. People are losing their minds trying to figure out who they are. Some elite prodigy the government kept secret? A foreign operative? The theories are wild. Their voices faded as they walked away, but Arya remained frozen, her appetite gone. She pulled out her phone with trembling hands and searched for the video. It took seconds to find. Already 30 million views and climbing. The thumbnail showed a figure in advanced combat armor, her armor, surrounded by the corpses of massive monsters. She clicked play. The footage was shaky, clearly taken from a helmet cam of some soldier she'd been protecting. It showed the Ravager swarm descending, each beast the size of a building, their roars shaking the very ground. Standard protocol called for retreat and orbital strikes, acceptable losses in the tens of thousands. But in the video, a single figure stepped forward. The camera struggled to track the movement. She was too fast, her strikes too precise. Where she moved, Ravagers fell, not wounded, not damaged, dead, instantly, completely, 1 strike per monster. 27 Ravagers in 90 seconds. The video ended with her standing alone in a field of destruction before the camera's angle shifted away. The uploader had tried to enhance the footage, to glimpse her face through the armor's visor, but her father's custom tech held firm. No details visible, just destruction incarnate, wearing human shape. Comments flooded the screen. Theories, arguments, demands for government transparency. Someone had created a whole subreddit dedicated to identifying Phantom. Frame-by-frame analysis, height comparisons, gait recognition studies. Arya closed the video, her heart hammering. 3 years of hiding, potentially unraveled by one leaked video. She had to think, had to figure out who leaked it and why, Her phone buzzed. An unknown number. Your secret is showing. We should talk. Alone. Old training ground. Midnight. Come alone or I release everything. Arya stared at the message, reading it 3 times. Someone knew. Someone had connected the dots that shouldn't have been connectable. And now they wanted to meet. She should run. Should disappear again, like she'd done before the academy. But running meant leaving behind the few connections she'd made. Meant proving her father right, that she could never have a normal life. And something in her rebelled against that thought. Midnight then. She'd face whoever this was, and if necessary, well, she hadn't used her real strength in 2 years. Maybe it was time to remember what that felt like. The rest of the day crawled by in agonizing slowness. Arya went through the motions, failed combat exercises, scored poorly on theory tests, absorbed insults with practice indifference. But her mind was elsewhere, calculating possibilities and contingencies. By evening, the video had reached 50 million views. The Academy's social channels exploded with students sharing and speculating. Even Instructor Way referenced it during afternoon session, calling it an example of elite-level combat that Class F students could only dream of achieving. If only he knew the dream was sitting in the back row, pretending to struggle with basic footwork. Dinner in the Class F cafeteria was its usual subdued affair. Meals here were adequate but unremarkable. Funding prioritized the upper classes who'd actually see combat, Arya picked at her food, hyper-aware of every conversation around her. It's got to be someone from Class S. Marcus was holding court at his usual table. No one else could move like that. Class S students are all accounted for, though, Yuki countered. People have been cross-referencing the timeline. Whoever Phantom is, they're not registered at any academy. Maybe they're a dropout. Someone who washed out and joined the military directly. Arya tuned them out, focusing on her plan for the night. The old training ground was isolated, far from any cameras or patrols. Good for a secret meeting. Also good for an ambush. She'd have to be careful, assess the situation before revealing anything. Not that she planned to reveal anything. Whoever sent that message was fishing. Try to scare her into confirming their suspicions. She'd deny everything, claim mistaken identity, and if they pushed, well, she'd handle that when it came. 10 minutes before midnight, Arya slipped out of the dormitory through a maintenance access she discovered in year 1. The campus was quiet, most students either asleep or absorbed in late-night study. Security patrols followed predictable patterns. She'd mapped them all years ago, a habit from her previous life. The old training ground sat at the academy's northern edge, where the manicured campus gave way to wild forest. Decades ago it had been state-of-the-art, but technology advanced and budgets shifted. Now it was crumbling concrete and rusted equipment, kept standing more from inertia than purpose. Arya approached cautiously, every sense alert. The moon provided minimal light, shadows deep and concealing. She deliberately worn dark clothing and left her phone behind. No digital trail, no traceable signals. A figure waited in the center of the old combat arena, silhouetted against the moonlight. Average height, hooded, impossible to identify at this distance. Arya stopped 20 meters away, maintaining tactical spacing. "I'm here," she called out. "Now explain what you think you know." The figure's laugh was young, familiar somehow. They pulled back their hood, revealing Instructor Wei. Arya's surprise was genuine, though she kept her stance defensive. Her instructor looked different outside, his usual resignation. Alert, sharp, almost dangerous in a way she'd never seen during class. "Arya-chun," he said quietly. "Or should I say Phantom?" She said nothing, every muscle coiled and ready. Wei seemed to sense this because he raised his hands in a peaceable gesture. "I'm not your enemy." Quite the opposite. He reached into his jacket slowly, pulling out a tablet. "I was there, Arya, at the 6th Border Campaign. I was a commanding officer of Sector 7, the sector you saved from total annihilation." He pulled up a file, military records, classified stamps. Her father's name prominent in the documents. Colonel Marcus Chun, one of the military's greatest assets, until his death 3 years ago. And his daughter Arya, who inherited his abilities but vanished from all official channels shortly after his passing. Arya's mind raced. Wei knew, actually knew, not just suspected, but his tone wasn't threatening. It was almost grateful. The video going viral wasn't random, Wei continued. It was deliberate. There are people in the military who want to find you, Arya, who think hiding someone of your caliber is a waste during wartime. They leaked that footage hoping to flush you out. And you, Arya's voice was cold. What do you want? To help you stay hidden, if that's what you choose. Or, he hesitated, to help you prepare, if hiding is no longer an option. Before Arya could respond, her instinct screamed warning. She moved on pure reflex, tackling Wei aside just as the air where they'd stood erupted with concentrated energy fire. 3 figures emerged from the tree line, combat armor glinting, weapons raised. Not students. Military contractors by their equipment. Target confirmed. One spoken to a comm unit. Phantom identified. Engaging. Wei cursed, scrambling to his feet. "They tracked me. I'm sorry I didn't think." "Stay down," Arya commanded, and something in her voice made the veteran officer obey instantly. The contractor spread into combat formation, professional and deadly. The leader spoke. "Arya-chun, you're coming with us. You can surrender peacefully, or we'll use force. Either way, your hiding is over." For 3 years, Arya had held back, had taken every insult, every failure, every moment of manufactured weakness, and buried her true self beneath it. She'd promised her father to hide, to survive, to be normal. But normal had just ended. "You want to see what I've been hiding?" Arya asked, her voice eerily calm. "Fine, but don't say I didn't warn you." She moved. There was no dramatic transformation, no glowing power-up sequence. One moment she stood still. The next she was simply in motion, faster than human eyes could easily track, precise beyond conventional training. The first contractor's weapon clattered to the ground, his wrist pressure pointed into momentary paralysis. The second fired a burst of energy that Arya dodged with a simple sidestep, her counterstrike finding the gap in his armor with surgical accuracy. He dropped, conscious but unable to move. The third contractor, the leader, was better. He'd fought enhanced opponents before, anticipated some of her movements. He lasted for an entire second before Arya swept his legs, caught his falling weapon, and dismantled in her hands like a child's toy. 15 seconds total. 3 trained military contractors neutralized without serious injury. Arya stood among the groaning men, breathing steady, not even winded. Behind her, Instructor Wei stared with an expression mixing awe and vindication. "Now then," Arya said calmly, looking at the down men, "who sent you? And how many others know?" The leader groaned. "You're making a mistake. The military needs you. The borders are failing, casualties mounting. Hiding here, pretending to be weak while people die. People die in war." Arya cut him off coldly. "That's what war means. And I've seen enough death to know that power without choice is slavery. My father understood that. He fought, so I wouldn't have to. Your father also understood duty. The contractor shot back. He died protecting this nation. Don't dishonor his memory by cowering in an academy." The words hit harder than any physical strike. Arya's hand clenched into a fist, trembling with barely contained emotion. "You don't get to talk about him," she whispered dangerously. "You don't get to invoke his sacrifice to justify hunting his daughter like an asset to be deployed." Wei stepped forward cautiously. "Arya, we need to go. More will come. There's a safe house I know, people who can help." No. Arya's decision crystallized in that moment. No more hiding. No more running. If they want to find me, let them find me. But on my terms, not theirs. She pulled out her phone, previously left behind but now retrieved from her jacket pocket. With deliberate motions, she opened the Academy's internal network, a system every student could access, found a section for combat evaluation challenges, and posted a single message. To everyone who watched the Phantom video, to everyone who wondered who that fighter was, "I'm Arya Chun, Class F. Tomorrow at noon, main combat arena. Come watch what a failure can really do. Challenge accepted to anyone who thinks they can match me." She posted it, then turned off her phone. The message would spread like wildfire by morning. Every student, every instructor, everyone would see it. No more hiding. No more pretending. "What are you doing?" Wei looked horrified. "Arya, this will expose you completely. Every intelligence agency, every foreign power, every—" "I know," Arya said simply, "but I'm done living in the shadow of my father's fears. He wanted me safe, and I love him for that. But safe isn't living. It's just existing." She looked at the 3 contractors, now securing themselves with their own restraints in a humiliating reversal. "Tell your employers that if they want to talk, they can do it publicly. No more shadows. No more games." The night air felt different somehow. Lighter, like a weight she carried for 3 years had finally been set down. "What happens tomorrow?" Wei asked. Arya smiled. A real smile, perhaps the first genuine expression she'd worn at the Academy in years. "Tomorrow, Class F's failure shows them what real strength looks like. Tomorrow, they learn why I was hiding. And tomorrow, I figure out what comes next." She started walking back toward campus, leaving Wei and the contractors behind in the old training ground. Behind her, the instructor called out, "For what it's worth, Arya, your father will be proud." Arya didn't turn around, but her smile widened slightly. Maybe, or maybe he'd be furious at her for breaking her promise. But either way, the girl who'd hidden her strength was gone. Tomorrow, everyone would see what she really was. And whatever came after, challenge, danger, fame, or something else entirely, she'd face it as herself. No more masks. No more pretending. The girl who hid her strength in class had made her choice. Now the world would see the recording's truth firsthand, and nothing would ever be the same again.